Sujit sir, you can hear me? Sujit sir?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay. I can't see your screen. Yeah, yeah. Now you are visible.
I will just share my screen and let me know
Yeah.
whether this is. See, can you see my presentation?
Yes, I can see. I can see.
Okay, that's
I'll
it.
just admit everyone.
Let's. Okay, okay, chalo, chalo.
Sujit sir, I think we should start with the session. Uh, so, Sujit sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
Yeah. So we'll just start with the session, and then people who want to join can join in later, so that it doesn't become too late for us. So I'll just start with a little bit of introduction, and then you can take over. So, uh, just a minute. People are coming in. Okay. Fine. So, first of all, a very warm welcome to everyone who is present today for this BNHS online talk series. It's wonderful to see so many nature enthusiasts, students, researchers, and supporters together once again. This monthly talk series is an initiative by Bombay Natural History Society to create a consistent platform for dialogue, learning, and inspiration within the conservation community. The BNHS online talk series was started with a very simple yet meaningful idea of staying connected with nature through knowledge sharing. Every month, we invite speakers who have contributed significantly to ecology, wildlife conservation, or environment education. People whose experiences can bridge gap between research, fieldwork, and public understanding. This initiative helps us to go beyond our immediate workplaces to listen, reflect, and learn from real world conservation efforts. For those who may not know me, I am Aksa Majgaonkar, currently working as Senior Education Officer at BNHS. From the inception of these online talk series, we have this aim of making scientific discussion accessible and part of our day-to-day life. It has been incredibly fulfilling to see this initiative evolve, and I'm truly grateful for our speakers, BNHS team, and all the participants who make each session possible. Today's session focuses on a special important theme, which is understanding the concept of conservation reserve and community reserve case studies from Rajasthan. As conservation challenges become more complex, it is essential to recognize the power of local communities and their traditional knowledge systems. Rajasthan offers some inspiring examples of how people and wildlife can coexist through community driven conservation efforts. We are truly honored to have with us Dr. Sujit Narwade, Deputy Director, Bustard and Florical Program, BNHS, and Coordinator of the BNHS NVIS Avian Ecology Part. Dr. Narwade has been a key figure in the field of bird ecology and conservation planning in India. His work spans across the conservation of grass birds, habitat, and species recovery initiatives, especially focusing on threatened species such as Great Indian Bustard and Bengal Florican. He has contributed to numerous research publications and conservation projects, emphasizing the role of community engagement and scientific monitoring in protecting critical habitats. Beyond his research, Dr. Narwade is also deeply involved in environmental education, using his field experience to train and mentor young conservationists. His dedication to avian ecology and habitat conservation continues to make a lasting impact on both policy and practice. We are privileged to have with him today to share his experiences and insights from Rajasthan, stories that highlight the importance of collaboration between people and nature. Thank you, Dr. Sujit sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Aksa, for elaborated introduction. And we are always in field. So if there is any difficulty, any technical glitch happens, please report me immediately so that we can rectify it. Shall I start the presentation?
Yes, sir, you can start.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, you are audible. Yes.
I think you made co-host just right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So just confirm me whether the PPT is visible or not.
Yes, sir. Very clearly.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Aksa, and all the participants who have joined to discuss this, one of the important topic. I'm just giving some overview of this concept based on our experience. And this is very new concept in conservation, though it's started in 2003, but still we are way to go ahead. We'll be discussing about this. So basically, we know there is forest area is under protected area network. So we have wildlife sanctuaries, national park, then conservation reserve, then community reserve, eco-sensitive zone. So this entire area that comes under Wildlife Protection Act. So under Wildlife Protection Act, there are certain restrictions. Uh, Basically, there are so many restrictions in wildlife protected areas to protect the habitat and the birds. There are tiger reserve as well. So, but this this entire protection is basically restrictive mode. Like for example, there are look, people are not allowed to go inside the sanctuary without permission. So that in tiger reserve, people have to book the safaris and go. So nobody can go or nobody has access without permission because this entire protected area is protected under Wildlife Protection Act. So what happened? Like for example, birds. So we know tigers, they have some territories. Mammals can, they form some territories and they use certain areas. But for the birds, basically these birds, they don't know the boundaries, and we can't confine them in smaller areas. So basically, in 2003, this new terminology was launched by the government because there was difficulty to create more wildlife sanctuaries and the national park. So this new terminology came into existence, that is community conserved areas. So under CCS, there are two types. One is community reserve and one is conservation reserve. In this particular slide, I have given two definitions. Basically, a conservation reserve can be declared on the government land by the government, state government, with consultation of local communities, so that the stake of the communities would be retained. While community reserve can be declared on private land or community land. So this is the basic difference. Uh, Rest of the things we will be discussing. So under section 36A, B, C, this community reserves and community conservation reserve can be declared. So this, this has given in small nutshell that in government felt that there is need to amend this Wildlife Protection Act, and there was amendment in 2002. So this gave government and the community to uh, new avenue to declare some of the important wildlife areas, that is ecological corridors, because wildlife cannot we cannot keep wildlife in given boundaries. So they will always be exploring areas. There is need to protect those corridors, to expand protected area network. So this is basically to achieve those goals. Government, came up with these two new terminologies. So the what is the purpose? We know there are corridors which are connecting two protected areas. Basically, corridors are the areas which are protecting two protected areas, and the animal path. They use the path to move between those two areas. And especially these community conserved areas, there is in legally community led conservation can be possible, and community can sense the ownership. So this was the idea behind this entire exercise. So there is already we had I had given the difference between two, community reserve and just conservation reserve. Management per se also there are differences. So conservation reserve get managed by the forest department, while the community reserve is by and large get managed by the community. So there are, two, because every community reserve or conservation reserve will have some what committees who will govern these entire areas. So those committees we will see later. Basically, why these categories matter. So this is basically importance of this community conserved areas, and we know despite having this protected area network, there is human wildlife conflict goes on because we are our population, human population is growing on, and we are encroaching their land. Like for example, Sanjay Gandhi National Park is surrounded by so much of human population. So this always wildlife will try to explore new areas, and they will come into human population. So where this is, then this leads to the conflicts. So basically, we if we go and see what is the number of protected areas and how this proportion of conservation reserve and community reserve is. So basically, this particular data is based on 2023 November, and out of thousand odd protected areas, 114 15 are conservation reserve, and 220 are community reserve. Though these are smaller areas, but I think this particular terminology, conservation reserve and community reserve, is applicable to the areas which are dedicated for conservation of certain species. What are those species? We will see. Then somebody will ask you what is the procedure. So basically, the procedure is same like declaring protected areas, but there are different steps. So definitely, the initiation will be taken by the state government. Then there will be land will be identified. Then land identified for certain species or certain biodiversity components. So those identification will be done, and then they will take help of scientific agencies to identify its ecological importance. Then a detailed project report. So DPR is terminology used for all kind of reports, which includes everything like which, what, when, how. These questions will get addressed, and this DPR will be submitted to the community in front of community, and this will be there will be public consultation. Public consultation mainly with gram panchayats and district administration. So then, after addressing all the concerns and the queries, then the draft proposal will be kept for final, for further clarification, and then it will go to central government for the gazette notification. This is the overall procedure to declare any conservation reserve or community reserve. And the final notification will be again like central government will give the approval, and then notification will be issued by the state government. So this this entire process is not possible within a couple of days. It takes sometimes it takes few months, sometimes it takes few years as well. So how this community reserve or conservation reserve get governed? So this each conservation reserve will have their own management committee as compared to wildlife sanctuaries, because wildlife sanctuaries are governed by the different ranges. There are RFOs, there are beat guards, then there are chowkidars. But the Conservation Reserve Management Committee will decide what are the requirements of that particular reserve. So community reserve, there will be little bit difference that everything will be same like conservation reserve, but public consultation and consent by the local bodies is very much essential. So unless and until all ward members or the gram panchayats give their consent, it is not possible because community reserve will be declared on community land or the private land. But rest of the things, बाकी सारी चीजें we can say will be the same like conservation reserve. But in this case, this entire procedure, governing committee will be spearheaded by the community itself. So this particular community and conservation reserve has backing of Wildlife Protection Act, that is Section 36 and 36D, and this community, community reserve management committee will govern everything. Who are the members? Who will see. And this committee is, responsible for making, making prescriptions for this reserve to, enable the protection and the sustainable use and everything, benefit sharing. So the committee will decide everything. Now, this is Community Reserve Management Committee. The chairman will be always community representative. By default it is sarpanch, but sometimes it is village heads, like certain community they have their gav buda kehte hain apne yahan. So those that person will be chairperson. Members will be gram panchayat ward members, forest department, one representative for the from the forest department, NGOs, and member secretary will be forest department, because since this entire structure is notified under the Wildlife Protection Act, forest department will always be having largest stake in this. Functions we know: protection, monitoring, preparation of managing plans, managing funds, resolve local conflicts, and everything will be supervised by chief wildlife warden. Chief wildlife warden is the head of this wildlife division of every state. This is Conservation Reserve Management Committee. Basically, chairperson will be always officer from the forest department nominated by the state government. So, I think you just need to make clear that chairperson in case of community reserve is village head, while the chairperson in Conservation Reserve Management Committees will be always a forest person, forest representative. Conservation Reserve Management Committee, there are representatives from the village panchayats, local communities, NGOs, and relevant government departments like agriculture, animal husbandry, because most of this community land are being used by the local community, mainly for grazing or the as pasture land. So agriculture department plays very much important role. Animal husbandry, mainly, they are into the wildlife care, or, many rescue and other things. So that's how animal husbandry department is also playing key role. So this entire committee will facilitate everything, which we can say the committee will be bridge between the forest department as well as the local community. And this entire thing, that's why this forest officer or the concerned forest representative will be the major linkage point. And this entire activities like encouraging community participation, promoting awareness program, taking eco development initiatives, everything will be decided by the committee. Now we are coming towards the Rajasthan state. So Rajasthan state, recently in last few years, there was, continuously there is addition of couple of conservation reserve uh, being done, and it was started in around 2015-16. There was visionary, chief wildlife warden Dr. G.V. Reddy, who initiated this, declaration of conservation reserve across Rajasthan. And recently there are so many additions. Even in 2023, there were additions of like Source and Kitchen and Hamirgarh Reserve. Now almost there are 29 conservation reserve in Rajasthan. But now the glitch is Rajasthan is so much proactive in declaring conservation reserve, but there is not a single community reserve. Why? because there is, now we had moved from wildlife sanctuaries to conservation reserve, where there is, still forest department is playing key role, but community reserve is governed by the local community, and there are very few examples. So that's why there is hesitation from the community, there is hesitation from the forest department, because there is no clarity while implementation. So, but once we have one or two examples, then we can have some robust mechanism. So, what are the reasons why people are hesitating? So, basically, there are few explanations here, like land tenure custom. Like community land, people are using traditionally, like from hundreds of years. And if something comes on particular land, there is fear that these people will lose their rights on their rights of that those activities on community land. Then there is administrative complexities, like community reserve get declared for protection of certain species. So there will be prescriptions, like for example, there is prescription of uh, some kind of restriction on grazing in monsoon season, because monsoon is the breeding season for most of the birds, ground nesting birds. But again, people have, evolutionary, they are, using their cattle, they're taking their cattle in pasture land. And if there is some restriction, then there will be always fear. Then there are issues of governance structures, like we know there is committee, there are members. So this is very democratic way of working. And for this particularly, people are not ready. Then there is, confusion for conservation reserve and community reserve. So many times people get confused. So हिंदी में उसको नाम है ना सामुदायिक क्षेत्र. बट सामुदायिक क्षेत्र का भी कंजर्वेशन रिजर्व डिफरेंट है एंड कम्युनिटी रिजर्व डिफरेंट है. But this terminal, there is confusion within community. That's why, though we had, like as government, they have declared more than 29 conservation reserve, there is not a single community reserve. Now, basically, I will be explaining how we help government and the community in declaration of the certain conservation reserve. But declaration, as I told, declaration is always been done through the forest department, through the district administration. Right? Scientific agencies can give some recommendations. They can help to develop the proposal. So basically, here we had given one example, that is Kurja. Kurja is named for the demoiselle crane. And there is Kurja Reserve got declared in Kitchen, Phalodi district. And there are so many people, contributed for that, including Jain community. Then there is, local people like Sevara Mali, who are, fighting for the conservation of the demoiselle crane. But for declaring conservation reserve, there is need for documentation. So BNHS played role in documentation. So we had, we published proper scientific way. We got this data collected by Mr. Sivaram Mali, and we brought out publication, which highlights, what is the how this high congregation site looks like, what are the major threats to those species, to the birds. And then there are, aligned research conducted by BNHS. So like earlier it was like only kitchen village, but we took it to the different roosting areas, and we found that this reserve is, this reserve came into one village, but the birds are using around 25 to 30 kilometer radius area. So what we did, I will explain later. So we suggested few things like, undergrounding power lines to reduce the mortality, because while landing and takeoff, there are chances of bird hitting with the power lines. So for any kind of DPR, detailed project report, we need to have specifications like we have to provide map, we have to generate map based on ground truthing, and this goes to the forest department, and forest department will work on the ground, work on the land record, because land record is very much essential. So government will dig out all the related information and this ecological information and land records. Those two things will get merged up, and then the final mapping exercise can be done. So here we had mapped all, how these birds are using this entire kitchen and surrounding area. Then same thing we did for declaring one conservation reserve in Ajmer in Rajasthan. This is exclusively for legal conservation. This also, we started working in 2017-18, and till 2016 this area was known for the bustard. But now, unfortunately, there are no great Indian bustard over there. But that area is being used by the lesser florican. But interestingly, lesser florican are using that area only during monsoon season, that is breeding season, and they are going down south during non-breeding season. So anybody can see these birds only in monsoon. So there are so many reports that mainly there are so many land use changes were happening because of mining pressure, and people were saying there are no birds and we are trying to put some restriction. So that's how government asked BNHS to conduct research. We came up with the distribution and habitat status of that bird, and then we found that there is not a single protected area for the lesser florican. So what would be the future? So instead of just giving like status distribution, we suggested government to declare some conservation or community reserve for lesser florican. But that is very huge task. And as we discussed, there is lot of documentation, lot of consultation happen. But fortunately, in 2023, around 893 hectare area, 931 hectare area got declared as conservation reserve. We know this is very small as compared to the distribution across the landscape. Uh, Here we had given just summary of what we did for this two reserve, and basically BNHS help only in documentation. While government, based on this documentation, government will prepare DPR. It will get submitted to the district administration for the approval, for land records, everything, and then it will go to again chief wildlife warden office. Then it will go to central government. So this entire procedure took place, but our role was scientific documentation. But without scientific documentation, any DPR is incomplete. Now we declared this, conservation reserve or community reserve, but why there is need? Why we want to increase number of community reserve or conservation reserve? Though there are so many land use changes happening across India, but I am basically I look after this Bustard and Florican program. So there are major threats to those habitat. As you can see here, this is all solar panels. These are all solar panels, and you can see because of that what would have happened on the ground. You can make out there is fragmentation of the habitat, there is degradation of the habitat. There is restriction on the movement of the animals all over. Birds would not use that area. So even there is decrease in pasture land. So everything will get compromised. How to address we will see later on. Now there is unless and until we go beyond our traditional way of thinking, we will not be able to save this species. Already we lost great Indian bustard in many range areas. For example, from Maharashtra, It's almost gone. There are only reports of one or two females from Andhra Pradesh, from Karnataka, Gujarat. There are a handful of birds left. The only viable population of great Indian bustard is in Jaisalmer, Rajasthan, and surrounding areas of Thar Desert. Same is the case of lesser florican. Why these birds are vanishing? Because they are very much dependent on the land. For example, bustards and florican, they don't have the hind toe. उनको पीछे वाली उंगली होती ही नहीं है. So that's why they are totally dependent on the land. And this land, earlier, like if we go back 30, 40 years, we can make out that, there were some undisturbed habitat left over. There were some huge untouched grasslands. There were less road network. There were less industries. Even people were not able to do farming in areas away from the villages. But now, because of rapid revolutionary changes in mechanization of the farming, industrialization, so everything is almost disturbed. So basically, this is now in our hand as a human being, I can say, because we should think beyond human being, because everything we consider from the human perspective. For example, people will ask, what is the use of particular tree from point of view of human being? What is the cost of saving certain species? So we always think, this species like weeds we consider from our perspective, pest we consider from our perspective. So we are part of this entire, earth, and we are just one small component. But we think that we are the controller of entire earth. That's how we have divided, entire area into administration blocks like districts, states, villages, countries, and we think that this species needs to be, species needs to make compromise, and those birds, wildlife, that should stay inside their designated protected areas. So I think beyond human being, we have to start thinking, and still we have this kind of thinking in rural areas, and people are, still, specifically I'm talking about in Rajasthan. Though I belongs to Maharashtra, I strongly advocate Rajasthan because there is, still लोगों में दया भाव अभी भी ज्यादा है. That's how we came up with so many conservation reserve. That's what we can see the results, like great investor is still surviving. Lesser florican is breeding over there. So this is because of local people, what we call as guardians. So now we know uh, everything is being governed by the government, because that's what we call government is responsible for everything. But government is also responsible for making policies, making decisions, and this policies and decisions should have some vision to incorporate biodiversity and wildlife management. Rajasthan has its own policy, though there is forest policy at a national level, but state level also there is policy. Under that policy, there is objective to increase state's vegetation cover. But same time, government is responsible for protecting forest, as well as government is responsible for generating revenue. Revenue in the form of forest ministry. So energy ministry will have some target every year that they want to expand. They would like to increase the capacity of electricity generation. For that, they need land. They need to install solar plants. They need to install wind turbines. They need to increase power lines. Same time, there is forest department. So forest department need to protect the land. So this is conflict. So there is great need of interdepartmental coordination. specifically for management of conservation reserve and community reserves. So these are some of the references. Sorry, there is a small spelling mistake. So these are the references we have used. And on behalf of BNHS, I thank all of you. And I think this is, what I wanted to discuss with you through presentation. And now we can take questions. So definitely, I would be happy to address any questions because still this community and conservation reserve are new terminologies. Specifically, community reserve, people are still have some hesitation. So we need to work closely with the government as well as the community to fulfill our mission and vision for conservation of nature. Thank you very much.
So we can have questions in the chat box, and then we can, yeah, as I was saying that
Shall I
all
keep
the
presentation
participants
open?
can, yeah, the presentation. So the participants can write in the chat box their queries, and we can address it one by one.
Shall I close the presentation or shall I keep the slide?
I think we can close the presentation.
Okay, okay.
We have started getting queries in the box now. So,
Even there are some people who have raised the hand, so they can talk also.
yeah, I think now they can unmute themselves. Yeah, I have. Yeah, they can unmute.
Okay. So my name is Rekha Sankla. I'm calling from Navi Mumbai. Uh, Firstly, sir, my apologies. Actually, I was a bit late in joining the call, but I have a very specific ask. Actually, I'm the president of Rotary Club in Navi Mumbai, and we are
Okay.
planning to have a Susamvad, and we thought of having a
Mm-hmm.
Susamvad in the area of environment. Would it be possible, sir, on 16th, this that's a Sunday, on 16th from
Your
4 to
voice is,
6, we have an
okay.
audience of say 100 people.
Okay.
Am I audible? Am I audible, sir?
Rekha ma'am, you are audible.
Right. So basically,
Yeah, yeah. Now,
yeah, yeah. So basically, sir, my I have a ask from the panel here. So on 16th of November, we wanted to have a Su Samvad of about 100 people. We are 21 clubs. Yesterday, we decided that we must have a talk on in the space of environment, something which would be relevant for the people of Navi Mumbai. So I wanted to put in a request to this panel for an invite and know whether we can have you for 2 hours from 4 to 6 on 16th in Navi Mumbai. And we would have a topic which would be relevant in the space of environment for Navi Mumbai.
Rekha ma'am, we can have a discussion.
Sure.
So Sujit sir, yeah, Sujit sir, Rekha ma'am is from the DPS team that we currently are working with. So definitely, I can connect Sujit sir with you all, Rekha ma'am, and we can have this conversation
Sure.
after this meeting.
Sure.
Thank you. Yeah, uh, Pramod sir, you can
Yes,
ask your query.
yes. I'm audible. Am I audible?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes, yes.
Namaste, sir. As
And
BNHS made
Rekhaji,
management
I'm
plan
based in Rajasthan.
for Urja congestion.
Just wait, Aksa. I think. Uh, wait, Pramod.
So
Wait.
BNHS have made a conservation plan for Urja congestion in kitchen, and government declared 4.5 lakh crore budget, but there is no update, and no government does make any execution for the for the conservation reserve, and no, not make any facilities for tourists or any. So when will it will occur? We have no update till now.
Pramod sir, if possible, can you just write down your query? I think Sujit sir is facing some issue. So once he rejoins, he can just go
Okay,
through this thing. Meanwhile,
okay, okay, okay,
yeah, I think he's not
okay.
there in the meeting. I just checked it.
Okay, okay.
I
I'm
think,
writing now.
yeah, just write it down. Okay. Meanwhile, anyone else also has any kind of doubt, you all can just write it in the chat box. Once Sujit sir joins in again, we can convey all the queries at once. Oh, Sujit sir is here. Sujit sir is here. Uh, Sujit sir, can you hear me? I think Sujit sir. Hi. Sujit sir, can you hear me? I think he's facing network issue. Sir, try switching off your video. Maybe that could help with network issue.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Pramodji was
So,
telling something.
yes, yes. Pramodji, you
Or
can
if you have
ask
heard
your
the
query.
question, you can wait.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes. Good afternoon.
Okay. Actually, as you know that the BNHS have made management plan for conservation reserve in kitchen, and government also elected budget of 4.5 crore, but still there is no execution by government. And when will it occur? We have no update till now. I want to ask where will government take action and will release budget? Yeah, okay,
Microphone,
okay, okay.
please. I think there is some kid. So basically, as I told you, we provide inputs to the government. We provide scientific inputs, and government will decide, management plan and everything. But basically, getting budget and implementation it's in purview of Conservation Reserve Management Committee. So that committee, everything need to be table in front of committee. Committee will take this, decision, what is good, what is bad. So that's entirely dependent on the committee. So this committee need to be, channelized, and everything need to get approved from the committee. There should be some pressure, like there are some conservationists, they can pressurize government to get this implemented, but this entirely, under jurisdiction of that Conservation Reserve Management Committee. Yes. Yes, Aksa. Next question.
Yeah. So we have a question from Manjula ma'am also. So Manjula ma'am basically wanted to
Hmm.
ask if wooded areas in urban settings could be declared as conservation reserves, even if these areas are not known for hosting any particular species or of birds and animals that are vulnerable and known only for common and non-vulnerable species. So basically, can we do conservation
Hmm.
reserves for even the common and non-threatened species? That is what Manjula ma'am wants to ask.
Definitely, but as the definition suggests, so this the for conservation reserve, first criteria is that land should be government-owned land. Second definition, the criteria is that particular area should support any corridor for nearest protected area. But I think if there are no threatened species over there, somebody needs to do some assessment of biodiversity, not necessarily faunal diversity, but even plant diversity also can be done. But that particular area need to fulfill some of the criteria, because we need to have some purpose. And this particular conservation reserve or community reserve get declared under Wildlife Protection Act. So basically, there should be some support to the wildlife. I hope I have answered the question.
Yes, sir, yes, sir, definitely. That's
Yeah,
that's a really great
yeah,
answer. There's one more question from
yeah.
a participant who has asked about role of sacred groups in conservation issue.
Yes. Basically, the sacred groves are, the sacred groves are being called as Orans in Rajasthan. Sacred groves are, known as Devrais in Maharashtra, and in southern northern part as Devbanis. These are the great examples of community conserved areas without, legal backing. So people are doing it from ages, like, Orans or sacred groves. People deliberately not cutting any trees. They are worshipping some deities there. So, but only thing is, if we can have some backup as declaring that area as conservation as a community reserve, then there is sustainability. Otherwise, someday there will be no ownership, there will be no guidelines to protect that, because warrants are being, implemented by the community by their own. But someday some people will become greedy and they will start exploiting that area. Before going to happen that case, I think it's better to bring that under legal community reserve or conservation reserve criteria. Yes.
Yes, sir. I think that definitely answered the question. We
Mm-hmm.
have a very technical question asked from one of the
Mm-hmm.
participants. They have asked about, are the community reserves and conservation reserves part of CCAs actually? And also in states like Mizoram, Meghalaya, and Nagaland, the IPs are governing the area and they have authority to govern. What is the practice of ownership in Rajasthan area? And is there any park people or government local people conflict scenarios? Wonderful question.
So, specifically, there is difference between, governing entire area in Northeast is different, because, there are, everything is governed under by Schedule 6. There is, the more, what we can say, authority has already been given to the Northeast at tribal communities, and they have their own borderland territory in Assam. So they have their own councils, they have their own practices, and most of the areas are governed by this community itself. So it's very easy to take this community conserved areas initiative in Northeast as compared to Rajasthan. So conflict is only about land use change. Otherwise, these orans or the sacred groves are being protected by the community itself. And definitely, this community reserve and conservation reserve, both the terms comes under CCA. CCA is broader term, while conservation reserve mainly declared on government land, and community reserve get declared on private or community land. This is the basic difference between this. Next.
Definitely. Yeah. We have a few more questions. So, one of the participants is asking what future steps can strengthen the network of conservation and community reserves in India? What's the future of community and conservation reserves?
I think future steps is this management of these conservation and community reserve already been identified and prescribed under Section 36 Forest Wildlife Protection Act. So what I will say, conservation reserve and community reserve is the only future for the conservation in future instead of future steps, because future steps are basically how effective, like Pramodji was telling, that management plan is there, but implementation is not there. So once we have this, some examples where we can see everything is on place, all the steps got followed up, and implementation is also good. So this entire process, that's why I was referring in, it's basically a new thing as compared to other forest areas like sanctuaries and national park, and this new thing has come up with consideration of local community stake. So it will take some time, but I think this is the only future. We can't create more sanctuaries because sanctuaries come up with so many restrictions, and specifically for birds, large ranging animals, or the wildlife residing in human dominated landscape. These are the only, what I can say, breathing spaces for the wildlife in future. Yes.
Oh, okay. We have one last question in the chat box, and then I think two, three people have raised hand. We'll take up their question and then we'll proceed to the last part. So, one of the participants has said about ecotourism in partnership with communities living in close proximity to wildlife ecosystem zones. How can we reach out to BNHS to tap into their experience as well as their technical and coordination expertise to get their help in setting up community reserve and possibly even conservation reserve?
Okay. Local person Tal Chapar. I think BNHS mission and vision is very clear. We are dedicated for nature conservation, and everybody can reach out BNHS. All the details of contact details and everything has been given on BNHS website. And for this is very crucial, like how we can integrate ecotourism into conservation. This is very crucial. Nitin ji, I think Nitin ji has asked this question.
Yes.
So this is very crucial, and I think most of the new records or new sightings are reported by basically nature guides or tourists, because they are using, they are in search of new things. They keep visiting the same areas, so that's how they are well aware about these things, and that can get integrated into conservation, because presence of certain species in certain areas, it indicates health of that ecosystem. Like for example, I am saying there is a tiger, so that means that entire forest health is good. Or there is great Indian bustard, this is the health of that grassland ecosystem is good. So anything through ecotourism coming up, and unless and until local people get some benefit, we can't say that you only compromise, there is no development in your area because this sanctuary. but development will can happen in Hyderabad, Mumbai, Delhi, Bengaluru. This is not going to help. So definitely ecotourism is the major tool where some revenue can go to the local community, and in return community can come up with conservation actions. And
Okay.
for this community and conservation reserve, we are ready to help. You can just drop one email to director@bnhs.org, because everything we are all report to director, and director can help. Like, for example, there is need to work in certain area. Our director knows who are the team members who are working in those areas. They can connect you. Like in Northeast, there are different teams. There are, we have wetlands, different team in wetland program, grassland program. So you can just give details of this is one of the important area which needs to be protected under CCA's network. You can just reach out BNHS, and almost all our scientists are also there. Email IDs and everything is open. Even you can reach out to AXA. He can divert that particular question to concerned scientist.
Yeah,
We are ready
definitely. I
to
just wanted to add one line into that thing about, definitely we can, yeah.
help.
So all those who want to reach out to BNHS about your observations about these topics, we can definitely have them to our respective IDs and to info@bnhs.org. I think that is a more proper channel. And for topics like this, definitely all our contacts are available on public forum, and we are very active on social media also nowadays. So I think the avenues of contacting and tapping our experience has increased in the last few months, and we are looking forward from on feedback from the members and the audience of BNHS. There are more questions. I can definitely see that thing, but we'll take one more question from people who have raised their hand. Farhan maybe can go forward, and all those who have questions, definitely you all can write to us, and we will forward it to Sujit sir. And because we are running a little bit short on time, so we just I know it's a lot of enthusiasm that's going on, but we have to unfortunately cut short the question answers round. Farhan, if you want, you can go forward, and then we will go to the last part of today's.
Yes, yes, thank you. Good evening, sir. It was a really lovely session.
Good.
Sir,
Thank
I
you.
am actually pursuing my master's in zoology from St. Joseph's University in Bangalore, and
Okay.
I have done bird ringing internships with BNHS. So I have heard about a lot of conservation work that BNHS is doing. And after my master's, sir, how can I actually pursue this line of conservation? Like right now, how you're speaking about all the community reserves and all those things. So, like after my master's, from where can I actually start? Is there like any specific roadmap or something that I have to follow, or is it like through all those internships and all, and then I can be members of some associations and all? Sir, any specific way?
Yes, sir. This is good to know that people are interested in conservation, and all those who are pursuing masters, they are welcome to BNHS. So I will talk about BNHS and all other institutes also. But there are people who had done master in social work, even graduation, post graduation. But because conservation at all is very different thing. But for you specifically, Farhan, you can keep watching our career section. So we are uploading all advertisement on our BNHS website. There is separate section of career. You can opt for certain positions. But if you think that you need some kind of hands-on training or some kind of additional knowledge, because once you opt for certain advertisement or certain position, then you have to be bound to that particular job description. But before that, if you really want to explore the things, then we have internship program. So internship program, then internship is mainly for learning. So you can opt for the internship, and depends on the internship, you may have, you may spend some time in one project, then go to other project or third project. Then you can you can decide that this is what I want, and then you can opt for particular program. Apart from that, you can just scroll our website and you will get to know what we are doing, and then you can decide which program you want to go for. And you can reach out yeah.
Yeah, so Farhan, yeah, definitely check out our career section. We have a lot of internships also that we offer. At the same time, you can also write to info@bnhs.us and to our internship officer, Nankishore Dude sir. And if something, works up, definitely we would be more than happy to have you at BNHS. I know there are still people who want to ask questions. You all can definitely convey it to us via email, and we can answer it as efficiently as possible. Moving forward to the last part, I'll just basically conclude the session by thanking Dr. Sujit sir for having and for giving this wonderful uh, talk. It was enlightening and inspiring session, and we all know that you are in field. We all know that there are time restrictions, there are technicality restrictions, so many things. But you very graciously agreed to be a part of this initiative, and I'm so thankful for you. Your talk has helped us understand not just the legal and ecological aspects of conservation and community reserves, but also the challenges and successes that makes conservation real on ground, which is very, very important part. Also, I
Yes.
truly appreciate the time and effort that you have taken to share your experience with us today. I would also like to thank all the participants for your joining and engaging so enthusiastically. Your presence and curiosity has kept this talk meaningful and vibrant. And as we conclude today's section, let us take a moment to reflect on the power of collaboration between individuals, between communities, between institutes, because conservation truly thrives when people come together for a shared purpose. So we look forward
And
to seeing y'all again for the next
Aksa,
month's yeah. Sujit sir?
I think there are two questions which are very important. I'll just address and we can conclude.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Already we have concluded this OECM and Ramsar site. I think this there is lot of confusion within people. These two terms are internationally recognized terms, but there is no legal backing for that. So please, accept this. This is, basically these terms can help us to achieve sustainable development goals, to get international recognition, but there is no legal backing. थैंक यू। अनिल धारनिया जी, हम बीएनएचएस में राजस्थान में जैसलमेर, अजमेर, बीकानेर, इस क्षेत्र में काम कर रहे हैं। थोड़ा बहुत किचन में काम कर रहे हैं, दैट्स इट, बट मेन वर्क इज जैसलमेर एंड अजमेर। एंड भरतपुर में बर्ड रिंगिंग प्रोग्राम शुरू हो रहा है, सो भरतपुर ऑल्सो वी आर वर्किंग। थैंक यू। आई
Yes.
थिंक आई हैड एड्रेस ऑल द क्वेश्चंस।
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Also, all the
थैंक यू सर।
participants of this meeting, we meet every second Sunday of the month with a new subject expert, with a new topic. So, definitely meet us next month as well. All the previously recorded talks are available on our YouTube channel, so you can definitely check out them also. And till then, have a wonderful evening, and let's meet next time. And our announcements are posted on our Instagram channel as well as BNHS communication. So for those who are members, you'll get it from our membership email. And for those who are not members, please become members. Thank you so much.
थैंक यू अक्सा फॉर ऑर्गेनाइजिंग द इवेंट, एंड थैंक यू ऑल द पार्टिसिपेंट्स।
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We'll conclude the meeting then. Thank you. Okay.